Hi guys, today's video will be about the range test with DJI Mini 2. If you haven't already, kindly watch this video comparison that I've done with the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro on the same route that I'll be taking today. So let me get the drone ready for the flight. So today we are taking off at 99% battery with 9 GPS signal. So this is good enough for stabilization of the drone. And today you notice that there's not as much wind as compared to my previous comparison, but I think the DJI Mini is not flying very fast on the normal mode. So in order for this test to be as comparable as the one I've done with Hubsan Zino Mini Pro, we will return to home at 65% of the battery. So now it's showing I have like 24 minutes, 23 minutes flight time left, and we will keep going at this. I'll also raise my altitude to about 110, and we'll go straight on this path. So this will just be a very simple comparison so that it will be easier to see. So now it is gaining speed at 9 meter per second, 9.5, and you do notice the battery fluctuate a lot on the calculation here. Sometimes it's like 18%, 18 minutes, then you go up again. So I'm not sure if the battery is acting properly, but this is a very new battery. I think I've just flown this for the second time or the third time, because I've been using the Mini 1 battery all this while to do video shooting, and yeah, I'll just try to keep this battery as new as possible to have a very close comparison with the one that you get in Hubsan Zino Mini Pro. So here I'm just checking on the transmission, the battery, so it's not in variance too much of the 2-cell battery. So you do notice that the reception signal of the transmitter has dropped like to half. There's only like 3 bars left, and the image starting to like become stuttery because of the interference down there. There's plenty of Wi-Fi interference down there. So now I only have like 2 signal bar, which you don't see this in the Hubsan Mini Zino Pro. And we'll see if we'll lose connection here. This is just 1.3 kilometers. We are not even close to where we are in the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro. The one, oh, look at this, the footage, like it has a weak signal, but I think we can still push further. Yeah, okay, the FPV signal returns. I suppose this has to do with the because we are running on dual band. Maybe at first it's going in 5 gigahertz, then once it reaches here that there's some interference, it moves to 2.4. So okay, let's continue on this journey, since we still have the FPV feed, and things seems to return to normal. So we wasted a bit time there because of the dropout of the FPV and the controller connection to the drone. And as you can see, the reception signal for the transmitter, sometimes it goes up a bit, and it remains at the yellow bar or 2 bar or 3 bar, so it just fluctuates. Whereas you can see that the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro has a full bar all this while up to 4.5 kilometers. Okay, let's give it a little wait as we go straight into this line. So we have reached the I think the highest altitude that I have for this flight, so I'll not go higher than 117 meter. So after this we'll just be pushing straight ahead. So I'm also not doing any video recording, same as what I've done with the Hubsan Zino. We try to conserve as much battery as possible for this long range flight test. So we'll keep the condition as close as similar, but the only variation is that there's not much wind today. This is one factor that I could not control. So you might have to think about this if you have your opinion. But anyway, we are in 2.5 kilometer, so we are a bit behind that of the Hubsan Zino, even though we are traveling a bit faster. And the battery seems to have, like, we only have 10% more before we have to return. So I think we could not do 4 kilometers as we have done with the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro. I think if I've not mistaken, it's 4.5, which I've done with the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro on this same path. I returned at 65% battery. So now the reception seems to be quite good also. It's not losing FPV signal. I am having like just 2 bar, but I can still still pitch my camera. And now I think there's not much wind going on, so you can see that I'm at almost 10 meters per second. And you can see that the transmitter also, the data, the transmission signal, it goes up and down, between 2 and 3 bars. So it indicates I have 14 minutes left, so I will have to return pretty soon. So I think maximum maybe we can reach 3.6 kilometer, or hopefully we can do that. Okay, still going. The DJI Mini 2 battery is much smaller than that of the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro. This is running at like 2250 milliamps, whereas the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro is having like 3000 milliamps. Okay, so we have reached almost 3800 meter. And it indicates we have to return to home. This is prompt by the DJI system. So let's do that. Return to home at 66% battery left. So we have only done 3.8 kilometer, and the return, when the craft is turning back, there's not much lag, so it is okay. The transmission seems still good, even though the indicator here shows it only has like 3 bars. And yeah, I've also lowered down the return to home the beeping sound, so that you are not being annoyed by this too much. So as we are returning, on our last flight we did return back to base at 48% battery, with a tailwind coming behind us. But this one, maybe there's still a little bit tailwind, because like we are having a speed of 10.5 meters per second. On the Hubsan Zino, the return to home speed, if not mistaken, is set at 11 meters per second. So it was pretty constant. So same like this, it's also quite constant, with a bit of tailwind coming behind. And slowly we are gaining back our signal. So let's check the battery. One is lower than the other, but not much variation, so still good. Checking on the transmission signal, not much interference, I suppose. So we are running on 5.8, I think. One thing I have to point out is that you can see in the middle there's all these like point the RC antenna and the drone for better signal. So there's plenty of tips given by DJI, when you're doing a return to home. So if you're bored, you can look at this. So it is pretty good for newer beginners, or when they're flying this drone, they know what is going on, and DJI is trying to educate and also let everyone knows what is the thing that you have to be aware of doing a return to home. And I think it's a very good beginner drone to begin with, because you have all these education stuff that they made it up for you. Unlike the Hubsan Zino, they do not have this. When flying in cities, set return altitude higher than nearby building. Yeah, this is one thing newer flyers you must be aware of, because there's no obstacle sensor with DJI Mini 2, and you have to be very careful about this. So we have regained our transmission signal at 1.6 kilometer with 21 GPS signal. Wow, there's plenty of GPS signal at this height. Okay, now we are at half the battery. We should have plentiful to reach home, but it's definitely less than what we did with the Hubsan Zino. So the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro has a longer battery life. You can fly it further with less interference on the transmission signal. So this is one thing for sure, because I've tested this, and it shows the result of that drone. But there's also a lot of shortcoming to that drone, like there's still a lot of update needed. So we'll wait and see what it's like in the future. But DJI Mini 2 is still a very solid drone to begin with. It is still very reliable, in my opinion. Okay, we are close to where we started, and sooner or later I will have to lower down the altitude as it close in. Okay, I'll lower down the altitude. So I do have a landing pad with LED lights going on, which helps me to see where I am when doing return to home. As a token of appreciation to my viewers and subscribers, I would like to do a giveaway of like 3 pieces of this landing pad if I've reached 1,000 subscribers. So do subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and do leave a comments below if you would like to win this landing pad that I will do a video on once I reach 1,000 subscribers. And we will do a random selection once I've reached that number, and I hope you enjoy it. So now I am closing down to my landing position. I'll lower down the drone, I will cancel return to home, and you can see that from this far I can still see my landing pad, but I'm a bit off the landing pad because I'm near my roof, so I have to back off a little bit. And you can see that I can do a perfect, precise landing on this pad with the DJI Mini. Okay, thank you for watching my video. Do read the description down in my description box for the lucky draw, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.